Welcome back again. Good morning, children. So, today we can discuss another very important genetic disorder, that is Tay-Sachs disease. Okay. So, by looking into this first image itself, you can see which part of the body or which part of the organ this genetic disorder is affecting. Okay. So, this Tay-Sachs is usually affecting our central nervous system. That is why it is a very important and it is a very severe disease. Okay. So, central nervous system is very important in our body. So, this disease affects the central nervous system and it is a monogenic and autosomal recessive disorder. Clear? And usually this is not common. It is usually spread in the particular group of people, that is the Jewish people and in the Europe descendants. Okay. So, in that group only this disease was noticed. So, this is very important because these symptoms usually observed and it affected in the central nervous system. Okay. And history of Tay-Sachs. Why the term Tay-Sachs? You can see this disease was first discovered by as a red spot in the retina of the eye in 1881 by Warren Tay. Clear? First observed in the retina of our eye as a red spot, the symptom as a red spot by that Warren Tay. Okay. Then later, actually a scientific description of this disease was done by another scientist, that is Bernard Sachs. Okay. So, by connecting these two names, the disease is known as Tay-Sachs disease. Okay. Now, let us see what are the different types of Tay-Sachs. Okay, Tay-Sachs are affecting in different stages of our life cycle. So, based on that, it is divided into three main groups. First one is acute infantile form. Acute infantile form, the term itself infants, you know who are infants. Okay, say most severe case when it affected the infants and usually between 3 to 6 months, and gradually symptoms starts in the early month itself and gradually it becomes severe and affecting the motor and intellectual development. Okay. Then second type is the juvenile form. Juvenile form means below 10 years, 2 to 10 years. And this is the sign and symptoms are somewhat similar to the acute infantile form, but it is typically milder because it appears in the later stage of the development. Okay, it's a little bit milder. Okay, and third one is adult onset form. So, this form is very rare, very 1 or 2 cases only, very rare. Okay, so this disease is usually observed in the infants, that is acute infantile forms. Other forms are not common. We can describe what is Tay-Sachs. So, Tay-Sachs, I already told you, this affecting our central nervous system, and this is the absence of a gene hex A, monogenic. Okay, absence of a gene hex A that encodes an important enzyme, namely beta hexosaminidase A. Okay, so it codes an important enzyme beta hexosaminidase A. Clear? What is the function of this enzyme? This enzyme helps in the breakdown of an important fatty substance, namely GM2 ganglioside in the lysosome for recycling. You know the function of lysosome, degradation of particles. So, that particular degradation or breakdown of a important fatty acid, namely GM2 ganglioside taking place in the lysosome. This GM2 ganglioside, that process is mediated by an enzyme and that enzyme is controlled by the gene hex A. Clear? So, these chemicals gangliosides usually found in the nerve tissue, and this is a very severe disease. Its degradation is not happening means that severe case, and it is a deadly disease, and this defective gene hex A is located in chromosome number 15. So, you have to remember that. So, chromosome number 15 carries the gene hex A. Okay, what the gene hex A? HEX, or shortly you can say hex, it encodes beta hexosaminidase A. Clear? Now, let us see this image of that chromosome number 15. So, different locations are there, and hex A, you can see that lower side, that long arm carries hex A, for Tay-Sachs disease, the banded cross. Okay. Now look, mutations in this hexa gene prevent or reduces the enzymatic activity of beta-hexaminidase A. Okay. So, this enzyme reduces or prevent the action of the enzyme. Okay. So, without this enzyme, what happens is the GM2 ganglioside cannot be broken down properly. Okay. So, if this GM2 ganglioside is not breaking or not degrading, what happens is it accumulates, it acts as a toxic substance that accumulates in cells, okay, particularly in the nervous cells, in the brain and the spinal cord. Okay. So, what is the process actually going on? This ganglioside should be broken down and transferred to lysosome, but it is not happening. Here it is accumulated in the nerve cells, the brain and the spinal cord. So, toxic effect is the result. So, excessive level of this GM2 ganglioside lead to neuronal destruction resulting in the disease known as Tay-Sachs disease. I hope you understood well the description how this process is going on. Okay. Now, see, this is a Tay-Sachs defective gene, that is hexa. What is happening in that sphingolipid metabolism, that is sphingolipid GM2 ganglioside. In the first case, that happening in the normal retina ganglion cell. Second one is mutated retina ganglion cell, means the hexa gene is mutated, the enzyme activity is arrested. So, alpha subunit of the enzyme. So, this enzyme is having an alpha subunit and beta subunit. Alpha subunit is not functioning properly. So, result in the accumulation of ganglioside. Okay. So, that causes the destruction of the cells. See. So, this is the problem. See, lysosomal, also known as lysosomal storage disorder. You can see this what is happening here. Okay. Now, so how this is transmitted? If both parents carry the gene, child has a 25% chance of having Tay-Sachs. Okay. If only one parent has the gene, the child is only a carrier. Okay. Both having the gene, 25%. If only one, that is carrier, only one parent has the gene, the child is usually a carrier. Okay. So, child need a gene from both parents. Then only child is affected with the Tay-Sachs. Okay. Now, so what are the symptoms? Usually one common symptom I have already discussed, that is a red spot in the retina. And other symptoms, it affects the central nervous system. So, all that part controls like our senses, like vision, hearing, everything, it will affect. Okay. So, deafness will be there, blindness will be there, decreased muscle tone will be there, delayed mental and social skills, dementia, loss of motor skills, paralysis, etc., etc. These are some of the symptoms. Then actually there is no treatment. Okay. No way to slow the symptoms or the disease, but mainly they focus on controlling the medications and keeping the airway open. So, airway should be, that cell nervous line should be kept open, that is only disease. So, nutrition and hydration is the main treatment given. So, life with Tay-Sachs is actually a pathetic condition. So, muscle stiffness will be there, it interfere the movement, the patient cannot move properly, cannot speak properly, and then pain will be there. So, a total discomfort life, because we already told you it is affected mainly in the infant period. Okay. Then foods cannot be chewed. Okay. So, cut down puree foods have to be given because difficulty in swallowing. So, disease when it progresses, loss of voluntary movements will be the result. So, life with Tay-Sachs is very difficult. Then who can be affected? Usually the cases, the studies reveal that this is usually concentrated in a particular group of people, that is Jewish descendants. Symptoms appear in 3 to 10 months. Okay. And if a child is affected, the child having a lifespan of 4 to 5 years only. So, that's all about the disease of Tay-Sachs. So, what is Tay-Sachs? It's affecting central nervous system, hexa gene, and the concentration of toxic GM2 gangliosides in the nervous cells due to the absence or the decrease in the activity of the enzyme controlling this and it is usually of 3 types. Main important and common one is the infantile Tay-Sachs disease. Okay. Now let us move on to another type of disease, that is muscular dystrophy. The term itself indicates muscular dystrophy. So something related to muscles. Okay, it's correct. Something related to muscles. So disease that causes the that affect the muscles and body become weaker and weaker, slowly stop working because of lack of certain protein. Okay, so that protein dystrophin is actually not working, its function is not there, okay, or it is absent, and it is can be passed on by one or both parents depending on the form of muscular dystrophy. Different types are there. There is autosomal dominant as well as recessive. Based on that, it can be transferred. Then, see, it is a group of hereditary progressive diseases, affects our muscular strength and actions. We cannot walk, we cannot stand, nothing. Okay, so posture, walking, everything will be affected. Then cardiac problems will be there, neurological, behavioral, everything will be disordered when there is muscular dystrophy. Okay, all parts of the body is affected. Then there are different types based on different stages in the life. There are different types. First one is the Duchenne or whatever you pronounce it. That is a very important type. Onset age year is actually 5 years, and progressive weakness of girdle muscles, unable to walk after age. This is a severe one. This is type pattern of muscular dystrophy. Then Becker, that have in between 5 to 25 years, early childhood to adult, progressive weakness of girdle muscles. Here also you can observe respiratory failure, etc. Then Emery-Dreifuss, another childhood adult, elbow contractor, humeral and perineal weakness observed. Then limb girdle, another one, early childhood to adult. So these are all the different types based on the affected portions of our muscles. Okay, so first one is very important one, that is Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So progressive muscular dystrophy may be another type of congenital, means at birth or within first few months it will affected. Hypotonia, contractures, delayed milestones, progression to respiratory failure, etc. may happen. Eye abnormality, central nervous system affected, and fascio-capulo-humeral, second one. Again, before age of 20, deafness will be the main disease. Caught eye disease is the main disease associated with this problem, affecting the eye, and deafness also will be there. Then second one is, third one is oculopharyngeal. You can see the term pharyngeal, limb muscles. Then myotonic, usually second decade, maybe infancy if mother is affected. Okay, slowly weakness of face, shoulder girdle, etc. Then cardiac conduction defect, mental impairment, these are all. So these are the different stages, progressive muscular dystrophy. Okay. Now you can see there are different reasons for this. Actual cause is still not described completely. So different views regarding the how this muscular dystrophy arises. Mainly first one is vascular theory. According to this, the lack of blood flow causes the degeneration of muscle tissue. Lack of blood flow causes the degeneration of muscle tissue. Okay. Then neurogenetic theory explains disturbance in the nerve-muscle interaction. That is the reason. Disturbance in the nerve-muscle interaction. That is the reason. And membrane theory, cell membranes genetically altered. That is the reason. So if it is genetically altered means activity of the muscle proteolytic enzyme may change. That is the reason. Okay. Cell membrane alteration, genetic consequence. So vascular theory, neurogenetic theory and membrane theory. What are the symptoms? Okay, muscle weakness is the main symptom. Then delayed development, motor skills, all type of skills delayed. Problem in walking, difficulty in using one or more muscle groups. Okay, and eyelid drooping. So it will always droop down, difficult to open. Then drooling, flow of saliva outside the mouth continuously, cannot control that. Hypotonia, low muscle tone, often reduced muscle strength. Muscle is always weak, low muscle tone. Then mental retardation, joint contractures, club foot, claw hand, like that. Then scoliosis, lateral or towards the side, curvature in the vertical line of the spine curvature towards the side or towards it is lateral or towards one side, curvature of the spine, that is scoliosis. So these are the major symptoms. And once more about Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Here you can see clinical features like progressive muscle weakness. Main type of muscular dystrophy is the DMD. DMD is actually progressive muscle weakness. Patients are usually in the wheelchair even in the teenagers, and respiratory muscles eventually involved, that also affected. Death usually in the later teenage period, early 20s, death occurs. Then the main reason is an X-linked inheritance condition. So males affected and females are carriers. You know, XY, when how it become female, X from the male is coming. So X-linked recessive condition. So when that X is passing, what happens is it's usually the affected females are the carriers, X-linked one. Then genetics is this DMD is actually resulting from mutation in the DMD gene that encodes a protein, namely dystrophin protein. So this disease is mainly due to a mutation in the DMD gene that encodes a protein dystrophin. I already told you dystrophin. So there are different types of mutation that can cause a disease. It disrupts the reading codes frame, that translation, you know how it is translating into amino acids. So that code dysfunction or functional and terminates the process of formation of dystrophin protein. So premature termination of translation. Translation stops without producing or non-functional dystrophin protein. Okay. So this mutation occur in the DMD genes. And DMD mutations are common in hotspots. There are certain regions in the gene area, that is exon 45 to 55 and 2 to 10. These coding areas are disturbed. Okay, mutation happens. So DMD gene encodes the protein, namely dystrophin protein. Okay, so dystrophin protein production or its translation terminates. That's the reason for DMD. Okay. So this is the case. You can see the affected boys stand up by tracing their arm against their legs. Proximal muscles are weak. The dystrophin molecule, it anchors the cytoskeleton of muscles through a dystrophin glycoprotein complex. So you can see in the picture dystrophin glycoprotein. So carbohydrate binding to the protein, that is glycoprotein. Okay. So muscle cells that lack dystrophin are fragile. So after a few years, progressive muscle weakness. So muscles without a dystrophin are fragile. Okay. So they actually this dystrophin molecule anchor the cytoskeleton of muscle cells. Okay. You know cytoskeleton in the extracellular matrix. So that way it becomes stern and gives strength, the dystrophin protein. But when the dystrophin protein absent, what happens is the muscles become fragile. It will bend, it will never look straight, or it will never give strength. It is weak, it is fragile. Okay. So you can see the picture having dystrophin, how it is bind to the cytoskeleton. So it is having another property, it's a glycoprotein combined with the carbohydrate. So the gene is, this dystrophin gene is the longest human genome known. So that's also very important. One more point you got, longest human genes known, because 2.4 mega base pair will be there, 79 exons will be there. Okay. This provides a structural link between cytoskeleton and extracellular matrix. A link between, this protein gives a link between cytoskeleton and extracellular matrix, thereby maintaining muscle integrity. Okay. So muscle integrity, muscle strength, etc. is maintained by this glycoprotein. Okay. So connection between extracellular matrix and cytoskeleton. If this DMD gene mutated, what happens is its production or it become non-functional, then muscles become fragile. Clear? Okay. So that's all about the muscular dystrophy. So today we studied the Tay-Sachs and muscular dystrophy, two very important diseases. Okay. So you have to study, not go into the types of muscular dystrophy, no need to go into detail. You have to study the genetic basis, you have to study the symptoms and how it is occurring, what are the types, etc. Okay. And not go into the detailed symptoms of the progressive muscular dystrophy, no need. Okay. So that's all for today's class. So have a nice day.